someone had told me that millions of people were just going to disappear, I, like you, would have said they were crazy.
Was it the rapture?
Yes. Yes, it was.
Are you sure? I mean, are you really sure?
I saw it happen.
Those weren't vanishings.
It wasn't the rapture. The rapture was debunked on the first day.
The second wave of vanishings has thrown the financial markets back into chaos.
Trust me. You want to make sure you're in the right team.
Hello and welcome to the Screen One interview. I'm joined today by none other than Kevin Sorbo, the star of the latest Left Behind film, Rise of the Antichrist. So hello and welcome, Kevin. How are you doing? Thank you for coming on.
My pleasure. It's good to be here. Let's do this thing.
Yeah, let's do it. So can you tell us about the character Ray Steele? Because you've taken over from where Nicolas Cage left off in the first film. So can you tell us where your character Ray Steele is in the world and what's going on in Rise of the Antichrist?
Well, I'm going to go back to that 2014 movie because in 2014, that Left Behind movie came out, and my movie came out called God's Not Dead, which was a pretty big hit. And the Cloud 10 guys based up in Toronto that own all the book rights to Left Behind got inundated with mail saying, hey, why is Nicolas Cage playing that role of Rayford Steele? It should be Kevin Sorbo. So they actually flew to LA when I was living in LA at the time. I live in Florida now, but I was living in LA at that time. And they said, you're going to be our guy in the next one. Well, then all these years went by, and about 2 years ago, they came up, okay, we're ready to do this. We're going to do a total rewrite in the script we sent you, but you're going to direct it and star in it, blah, blah, blah. Well, we had a great time filming. We shot it a little over about a year and a half ago up in Canada. And the response has been unbelievable on it. But this is 6 months later now. This is 6 months after the rapture has happened, after all the hundreds of millions of Christians have just vanished from the earth. And it's 6 months now, people knowing that they just happen to be all Christians that disappeared. So you got some people saying, well, it had to be aliens or something. Other people saying, there must be a God, guys. Think about this. Look at the Bible. It talks about it. So it's 6 months into it now later. At night, my wife was a Christian. She's gone. My son was a Christian. He's gone. So I've had 6 months of feeling sorry for myself, along with my college-age daughter. I've had 6 months to really sort of go through my own analysis of the road that I'm on right now. So he decides to kind of look through his wife's Bible, look through the notes she had, go visit the church she used to go to. It's his own spiritual journey, really, to find out how he missed all the signs that were out there, let alone his wife telling him all the time. So I tell people all the time, look, this is an action thriller. There's some good comedy in there as well, but there's a lot of stuff going on where people are politically, and we see it right now in the world right now, where the people are saying we need a one world government, and governments using fear to control people's lives. They made this thing very modern day. They even poke fun at the vaccine, but they call it a vanishing vaccine. And they say, don't be in a rush to take a vanishing vaccine, which always got a big laugh in the audience and a couple screenings I went to. So it's an interesting look, and people can decide for themselves. And I hope people will. I tell people, you don't have to be a Christian to see this. You can be an agnostic, you can be an atheist, whatever. It's an interesting look at what's happening in our world right now, and you can decide for yourself. Or you just want to throw it off as something that's biblical, or throw it off as something that's science fiction. It's up to you.
Yeah, so you kind of covered something I was going to ask. So when you were directing the film, when you were making the film,
right,
was it an active decision to make it when you were making it? Did you decide to make it as just a straight movie for general audiences, or was there more of a, was there a lean towards making it an evangelistic tool for Christians and churches? How did you approach it? Was it?
I think it's a combination of both. I mean, my point of view, I think the writing itself sort of leans itself to being evangelistic. But for me, I want to do movies that really, like The Blind Side. I mean, obviously, the Left Behind is the books deal with the rapture and deal with the Bible and the book of Revelation. But The Blind Side was a great movie of Sandra Bullock, and it dealt with this Christian family in Texas taking in this black kid that had nowhere to go. True story. He goes on to become one of the greatest football players ever in the Hall of Fame, American football. And people will go, wow, that was a great Christian movie, that family. People of non-faith said, no, that was a great sports movie. And that's kind of what I want to do. The message may still be in there, but it's not like in your face. It's really there to, you can decide, make up your own decision. And I don't want to make movies that are just preaching to the choir. You know what I mean? I want to make movies that sort of reach out to everybody and let people have their own decision on that. But I hope there's a positive message in movies like this. that people will at least talk about it afterwards. Because I want to do movies like this that aren't a roller coaster ride, like going to another Avengers movie where 60% of it is visual effects. And you and I will never be Iron Man, you know what I mean? We'll never be Hercules, for crying out loud. So to me, it's like, I want to do movies that make people go, I can relate to that character, or I know somebody like that. And I think this movie does that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Did Tim LaHaye and Jerry B. Jenkins, who, those who aren't aware, wrote the original books, did they have any input at all, or was it just all completely?
Well, Tim passed away a few years ago.
Oh,
and I was fortunate to talk to him a couple of times before that. But Jerry Jenkins actually funded and produced my first really faith-based movie I ever did, called What If. And in my Dallas Jenkins, Jerry's son, actually directed me in that movie. He's doing a thing called The Chosen right now. It's doing quite well around the world. I tell people all the time, now that I say what if, please see What If. If you saw God's Not Dead, What If, same writers, better movie in my book. But anyway, Jerry Jenkins said, he gave us the best endorsement possible. He said, this is easily the best Left Behind movie based off the books that I wrote back in the 90s that I've ever seen. So to have him say that was like getting the stamp of approval right there.
Yeah, because there's been, for those who don't know, there have been other versions. There was a version with Kirk Cameron in.
Yep.
Soon after the books were written. So so talking about the books, is there a plan to do all 12/16 of the books? I mean, the first 12 are really the story.
Well, we're doing the sequel to this one. They're writing it right now. I'll be directing it and starring in it before the year's out. So it's on the books. We're definitely doing a sequel to this.
So like the first one was just like the first 20 pages.
Right.
The new one, Rise of the Antichrist, takes us to the end of the first book. So the next ones, will you be doubling up, or will you be going book by book? Or
that's up to the writers. I don't have that control.
How would you like to do it then? Because I mean, for me, I think it works quite well as like a long form TV series as well. That would be quite.
Well, I know there's rumors that Dallas Jenkins is, when he's done with The Chosen, is going to redo it all again, just as a TV series.
Because I think it plays quite well into that. So
yeah, no, I think so too. Because you got characters that develop that people can attach themselves to as well.
Yeah. So talk about the other characters. Then your wife Sam is in the movie with you, playing one of the key characters as the story goes on. And she's also was with you in Hercules back in the day. So how was it directing your wife?
She's a New Yorker, so it's pretty tough.
Was she directing her?
It kind of ends up being that way, I think. So, but I mean, in the next movie, there's definitely going to be more of a love story that develops between those two. My son did a great job in it as well, playing the intern. Initially, he just had a couple scenes, but they liked him so much they added more. He's done about 7 movies now. He and I shot a zombie movie last year together that comes out later this year. It was a lot of fun doing that with him. Neil McDonough was awesome. He's a dear friend. We've been talking about working together forever. I sent him the script. And I said, Neil, please come in this. Corbin Burnson is another friend. He came in to play the head of the studio, the network studio. And then Bailey Chase, who's another friend of mine, came in and he did a wonderful job. So I was able to bring in some good cast members here that the studio was very happy to endorse these guys. Neil and I are right now trying to raise money for a Western. It's a fantastic Western that he wrote. It's like a modern day Cain and Abel story set in the 1850s, but it's as violent as Yellowstone. It's not going to be like a Bonanza type of a TV. A television. I mean, it's not a TV show. It's a movie. So it's going to be pretty hard edged and hard hitting, but there's still going to be a message in the movie.
Yeah, because Neil McDonough is just Mr. Go-To for if you need a bad guy, you call Neil McDonough in, don't you? So, and again, like I say, a lot of your friends. So, it's obviously without revealing too much. Are the characters that survive this one going to be continued? Are they signed on for the next ones as well, or?
Yes, and they're all very excited to be there. I mean, we'll obviously have some new characters coming down the pipeline as well, but all the cast that we had. Sarah Fisher playing my daughter. She's phenomenal. She and I did 8 episodes of a half-hour comedy together. We're still waiting to see if that's going to get picked up or not. But I knew her from working with her on that comedy. So I say, guys, you got to check out this young Canadian actress. She's phenomenal. And she did a great job playing my daughter.
Yeah. So where, and you kind of leaned into it a little bit. So where are we going to see you next before the next Left Behind films? What other projects?
I got two movies that are done in the can. One is the Ronald Reagan movie. Dennis Quaid plays the president. I play his pastor in it. I've heard rumors it's coming out October, November. And then I've got my other movie I directed called Miracle in East Texas. And that should be out around the same time, October, November. That's a true story set in 1930 about the largest oil find in the history of the world. And it's a great movie. It's won 10 film festivals, and it's won everything from best comedy, best romantic comedy, judge's favorite, audience favorite. So they can't really pigeonhole it, which I like. And it's, like I said, it's a true story written by Dan Gordon, who's an Oscar-nominated writer. He wrote The Hurricane for Denzel Washington, Wyatt Earp, Kevin Costner, and just a great writer.
So you are really quite busy at the moment.
Staying very busy. I leave this week to shoot a movie for a couple weeks up in North Carolina. I've got another movie I'm shooting later this year in Morocco. And I've got another one I'm shooting in Thailand. And then I've got another one I'm directing in New Mexico. And that one is a sci-fi movie.
Wow. So you just don't stop then?
You know what? I'm a fan of Clint Eastwood. He's in his 90s still directing. I hope I'm still going at that time. They're gonna have to bury me with the script in my hand.
See, now I've got to mention it because everybody watching this is going to be noticing it. I noticed the sword behind your head.
Yes.
Now, is that the original Hercules sword?
This was given to me by the crew. The production company put it together on the very, very last day of filming. After 7 years on the show, we shot the last scene ever. It was very emotional because people got to realize, you're 12 hours a day on set with people for 7 years. You're with them more than your family. And that really becomes your family. They know everything about you. I know everything about them. We had people get married. We had people get divorced. We had people had kids. People are able to buy their first home. I mean, it's just the celebration of working with people. And it says, it's got Kevin Sorbo, Hercules, 1993 to 2000 in there. It says, the journey may be over, but the legend lives on. And it's a viable weapon. It weighs about 25 pounds, but it's there because that was such a huge part of my life. I mean, I love playing that role. It's hard to believe it's been done for over 20 years already. But my 90s in New Zealand that was a wonderful chapter of my life.
This is a bad idea.
People loved about the show. I mean, there was a lot of drama, but the fight scenes always had pretty good humor in them, and there was always great banter between Hercules and Aeolus. And like I said, it was a great time. It was pretty cool to be part of that.
Yeah. So do you still get the fans coming up to you and talking to you about Hercules, or is it about
you do? I mean, go to sorbostudios.com. Everybody out there listening, sorbostudios.com, and just sign up. We'll keep it up to date. I've got like 2 movies coming out this year and 5 more coming out next year. They're done, but we keep you up to date with things coming down the pipeline. And there's also a merchandise section on there. So I get a lot of people still wanting Hercules DVDs or Hercules autographs on pictures or whatever it may be. I got my own Funko doll that popped, that big-headed doll. I mean, that's, to me, action figure. That's kind of cool to have that. But it's interesting. Most people now stop me because of movies like this, like God's Not Dead and Left Behind and What If, Abel's Field. It's interesting. That's what people stop me through. I travel a lot, so through airports, hotel lobbies. You get Hercules or Captain Dylan Hunt, but I get most of it now is for the movies I'm doing right now, which is kind of cool. Yeah,
and your fans can also reach you through your Cameo, can't they?
They can reach me on Cameo. Well, just go to Cameo or that's a great place to go. I mean, I probably do about 5 of those a day. So there's still fans out there want to wish him happy birthday or whatever. One guy wanted me to celebrate his divorce. I don't know, whatever, so whatever you were in the mood for.
That's great. So, okay. So just wrapping up then. So
sure.
Just give us, why people should watch Left Behind, from whatever walk of life. Give us a...
Well, I think there's a great message in there. I think, like I said, it's a good action political thriller, but it's also got a really interesting message about whether you're a believer or not. You might want to pick up the Bible and read the book of Revelation, because I remember the first time I read it as a 12-year-old. scared the hell out of me. It read like a really scary sci-fi movie. So I tell people all the time, I go, you know what? I want to do movies that make you walk out of the theater and have a discussion about it and say, hey, what did you think of that scene? Or what do you think of that? And I hope it opens up people's eyes. And they don't have, I'm not saying you better become a Christian. I'm saying, why not take a look at it, at least look at the possibility? Because you look what's going on in the world right now, and they made it very modern day. They brought it right into our world with all the hate and anger and divisiveness going on, cancel culture and the woke trolls and all these people that are going after people because apparently their lives are perfect. So it's just, I hope people will have a conversation about it and really think about it. And that's why I want to do movies like this. You know, I don't want to do a roller coaster ride like Avatar. Great visual effects, but you know, that's not real. This is something that could be very real. Like I love the tagline, say a true story that hasn't happened yet is what they put in the bottom of the poster, which I thought was pretty brilliant.
So yes, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for your time. This has been Kevin Sorbo, and this has been the Screen One interview. See you soon.
The Antichrist will declare himself as God.
Seemed like a stretch even for them.
How do we know who we can trust?
Trust God.
The world is suffering. We are on the brink of mass insanity.
What happens to the rest of us?
Doesn't it seem strange that it's still so easy to dismiss it, even though we saw it?